Hello, freaks, geeks, degenerates, and nerds. Welcome to the Nerd Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. I've been thinking about making this video for some time, but at the moment I don't have a computer at hand. But I wanted to make it anyway, so I figured pen and paper. Why not? Because I'm bored and I wanted to do this. Klingon battles, Star Trek battles in space make very little sense when we're looking at the big battles that we see in Deep Space Nine and stuff like that, where you have two fleets clashing in the middle of space. But why? So, say Sacrifice of Angels or whatever. We have an objective over here, and this is the starting point for Starfleet or whatever. Why would Starfleet engage a Dominion fleet in the middle of space when they can just fly around and reach the objective without engaging this fleet? You might say, oh, well, if there's plenty of space stations here, you might chip away at the enemy over here before you move over here, and stuff like that. But why then would the Dominion park out here? If they gather all their forces over here with defensive positions or whatever, then they have a massive advantage, right? So fighting here makes no sense. The enemy can easily outmaneuver you and chip away at your defenses before you can head over there and support them. And if you fight over here and lose this fight, you have fewer troops around to defend the objective of the enemy, right? So this situation makes no sense. So I figured, what would the Klingons do? So say we have a planet where we're going to assume that the planet is the objective, and Starfleet has a small fleet, squadron, whatever, in orbit, a bunch of ships here, defending it. So what would the Klingons do? Well, the Klingons would, with larger ships, Katinga class, Vorcha class, stuff like that, warp in and target specific ships. They might have several bird of prey in cloak, scouting targets and relaying information back to the main fleet. So when the larger ships jump in, they can target specific ships in the Starfleet formation. They'll jump in, launch a massive barrage with disruptors and torpedoes, and then immediately circle around and jump away from the combat to avoid getting hit by the Starfleet vessels. Now, as Starship adjusts to this attack, another squadron of Katingas and what have you, Vorchas, come in from another angle, do the same thing, launch that barrage at specific ships, maybe the same ones or others, circle around and jump out. And then you continue doing these hit-and-run attacks. I imagine that Starfleet would do this as well. There's no point in holding the line in space and no point in remaining in place, risking losing a bunch of your own ships when you can just jump in and out. And then, remember, you might have a squadron of cloaked birds of prey that can, when opportunity arises, move in, decloak, do the same thing, launch a barrage, move away and decloak, and they can do the same thing over here and move on different squadrons operating separately. So what is important for the Klingons here to avoid crashing into each other is to have certain areas of operations where each squadron is allowed to operate and maneuver so that you don't crash into each other when you're cloaked or crash into each other when you jump in and out. So now you can target specific ships in the Starfleet Starfleet, lots of words, Starfleet fleet, Starfleet ships, and take them out as you jump in and out, decloak, cloak, until you have whittled them down. Of course, Starfleet would more than likely have reserves in place to counter this further away in the system. So if the Vorcha and Katingas show up and swing around and jump out, if they jump out of the battle and remain in the system, then of course Starfleet reinforcements can jump over to their position where they have now took up a position further away. Klingons would of course have more than likely cloaked birds of prey waiting where the Katingas jump out of combat in case Starfleet sends in ships. And now the birds of prey can engage the support units together with the larger Katinga force or Vorcha force and stuff like that. Maybe Starfleet has reinforcements that lie in wait. Katingas and Vorchas jump in. They jump in and attack these ships as they're flying in, land hits as they're veering away and flying off, and then these ships jump out of combat as well, just like we're seeing the Klingons do. So it's a constant back and forth. Problem is, maybe they reveal their position, and maybe you will get Katingas and Vorchas going after them together with birds of prey to hunt down the support units of the Starfleet squadron or fleet, whatever you want to call it, right? Doesn't that make sense based on the technology available in Star Trek? So like in Sacrifice of Angels, they have this big battle, right? And the plan is to punch a hole in the Dominion fleet in order to reach Deep Space Nine behind it. Why, when you can just fly around? Why? If you have your entire fleet engaged with the Dominion fleet, why can't the Defiant and other ships avoid this battle altogether and just fly around? Space is big. You can come in from any angle you want to reach Deep Space Nine. Why do they need to punch a hole in the Dominion line? It makes no sense, right? I mean, the battle itself, it's fun, it's exciting, lots of cool stuff happening, and angles and ships exploding. Yes, it is Star Trek's best ever massive space combat on screen, but it makes no sense whatsoever. Taking a look at the technology available, wouldn't this make more sense if we're talking Klingons versus Starfleet in this case, right? That you have these squadrons jumping in and out of combat. You have cloaked ships doing the same, decloaking, going in for hit and runs, moving away, cloaking. And the defenders in this case, they have support units that can go in and chase down the enemy assault elements, or they can move in and help supporting the defensive squadron when the enemy ships jump in, and you can try and engage them as they're coming out of warp and what have you. Right? Doesn't all of that make more sense? And that you're fighting at the objective where you know the enemy will go to. You know the enemy will try and reach this objective. So there's no point in setting up all these defenses far away, because the enemy will just avoid your fleet and engage the objective right away. And your fleet will be literally light years away from being of any use to the fight at the crucial objective. So I think this makes a lot more sense. Let me know what you think in comments. Would this be how Klingons fought a battle in Star Trek, given the technology available? See you around. Bye.